Now we are live.
Oh, you can see it. Yay.
It took a little bit of time
11:11. I told you it was going to happen at 11:11.
and we are already 4 people online. And so first of all, I am sorry. It's kind of the fault of my computer, so it's my fault. But we are live 11:11 for Carmen, so it's a good sign. Thank you for being so patient with us. It's
So
like
excited to be here. I just knew it. That was the magic number. It was going to work.
So I would like to be honest. I am so happy to have this conversation with you again, Carmen, and with all the people listening to us. Renata, thank you for being with us, to be so patient. So if you are listening right now, please put a comment in the chat. What I would like us to do is to go direct, really like as quickly as possible in our main theme. And it's what I told you, Carmen, before we achieve to go live. I would like us, the message today is like to understand the ingredients of success. And why I wanted to discuss that with you is because we have been in touch last year for our book together, but this year I could witness your transformation, and I wanted the people to understand all the things that you needed to do in order to get there. And I know as well that in all your talk is what you speak about. I know that you have something cooking right now. So
I'm writing down. Sorry.
exactly. So Carmen, before we go directly, can you just share again quickly who you are, what you do, and then we will start the conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me again. I mean, the fact that the audience asked us to get back together is so significant and so touching and so amazing, right? Because people can pretend to have a good conversation, but the fact, like, I saw the comments, like people wanted more. So thank you so much for everyone who was listening and everyone who wanted to hear more from our stories. My name is Carmen Paredes. I am a professional speaker, retired corporate executive with 20 plus years of experience. And since I met Christelle, Christelle, I've become a 2 time TEDx speaker. I've spoken to the United Nations. Oh my God, what else done? I've actually achieved everything I said I was going to achieve.
Exactly, and that's the point. It's really because we had this discussion. I can really remember we had this discussion in Valencia, Spain
Like
last
a
year,
year,
November,
and a
exactly
week
a year
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
And then you told me I want to be a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
But before that, how many big stage did you do? Did you had a lot of experience? Because I can remember you told me that as well, and you told me TEDx and so on. And then you achieved everything. And I was like, okay. So it was so clear, and she did it. She made it happen.
Yeah. So I told Christelle before we started, I was not gonna hold anything back. So you're gonna get the real truth, no sugarcoating. So I have done speaking before in my corporate job. So would you take that as a speaking? Some people might, some people not. I mean, big audiences, right? Sometimes up to 1,000 people, because I work for a big company. But it's different. I was the boss. Everyone look up to me. I'll just stand there and talk about the financials or talk about the products or talk about nothing that I care about. But people will like worshiping me because I was the boss. But I have not, until Valencia, ever done a real talk like the ones I do today. And that is the plain truth that now is there in the internet.
Oh my God.
It's true. It is true. And so that was November last year.
Yeah. 1 year, exactly 1 year ago.
Yes. Now, since April last year, I had the clarity to know this is what I want to do. I already had retired from my job because I had a very bad burnout episode, and I had clarity that this is not the life I wanted anymore. I wanted to pursue my real passion, and I do have a gift for it. So, finally came to my senses. So since April last year, so April 2023, I started applying for TEDx. So I did things a little different than most people. People probably go and start talking at the Rotary Club and, little venues that are, they don't pay you and they're casual and whatnot, but that's not the way I do things. I was like,
Don't be
I'm
casual.
going for it. I'm just because I suppose there was a part of me that said, I have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, since I was a little girl, by the way, I'm from Panama. I am almost 50. When I grew up, there wasn't internet. I didn't have a computer until I was like 19. No cell phone until I was 22. And so I didn't know what TED was, like
Yes.
honestly. But I had this vivid vision of me standing in this red carpet. I didn't know what it was. So then I figured out what it was, but I didn't think I was good enough for it because I have an accent. Of course, in Europe, everyone has an accent, so you're probably thinking she's crazy. But in the US, it's a big thing. I'm a Latina, I'm a minority.
Yeah,
And
well, I think some of us, in my audience particularly, can really understand these things with the language because, like, for me, like doing all my business in English and so on was really a trigger point. So I was like, yeah, but my English is not good enough. And my audience, so they are international ladies, usually speaking, living in another language. And we can feel, and even if other people say, yeah, but it's so cool, you can speak 3 languages or more, or whatever, we as using these different kind of languages and struggling every day with them, we feel sometimes a lot of them, or a lot of us, we feel our self-confidence going a little bit down just because it's not our native speaking language.
yeah,
And that's why I can remember saying, yeah, I didn't even know that you have an accent. I couldn't really grasp it. And so now slowly for sure, but for me it was like, really? So that was a struggle, like a block. But that's one point. So we have our limiting beliefs, right? So the thing that blocks us were other thinking like bullshit.
right. I mean, that was so, and the thing for me was that, and again, you hit it on the head. Limiting beliefs is what stop us from getting where we want to go. Because, I had all, degrees in paper, an MBA from the best school. I was the first Latina vice president in Alaska. That's a fact. And so you think like I have accomplished all the things a normal person wants to accomplish. Here I am, in a corner pity partying about my accent. But what happened, and actually this clarity is crazy. Like this clarity didn't come to me until I was writing one of my keynotes, and is that I overcame the gap with my heritage and the gender by always being ahead of everybody in the room. I was hashtag know it all always. I knew more than anybody, any man, any person, right? So it didn't matter if I had an accent or not. But then when it came to speaking, which is what I really wanted to do, it was all about the accent, or so I thought, right? And so I like I would say like 99% of people is like, why are you what? Your accent is so sexy, or your accent is so cute,
Yes, yeah.
and it's like, well, because I didn't feel good enough for that red carpet. So for me, and this is one of the things I have with my mindset, is like, if something makes me scared, I am going to tackle it head on. So it wasn't like I was going to postpone that for later. I'm like, no, I need to overcome this big mountain that's in front of me right now. Take it out of the way. Because if I can get accepted and stand in that red carpet and have a good talk, which by the way, as of today has 24,000 views, which is amazing, right? Then I'm done. Like that, I did it, right? So I was like, yeah, I'm going for the hills. I'm just not trying to like be in the prairies. Now, what you wanted me to share here, most people don't know, and most people don't know, not because I'm hiding it. It's just like, not everybody asked me about this. Is how many rejections did I get before I got a yes?
Yeah, exactly.
And are you ready for the number? Yeah. I should actually, if you're live, do you want to put a number in the chat?
That would
Because
be
it's
nice.
so interesting to think
Yeah.
like how many no's can a person withstand before they say,
Yes.
I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know there's some delay. So let's wait for a second because I can see the thing. But there were a lot of rejections. And before I say the number, the saddest part, almost my breaking point, but I decided to keep going, was when my local TEDx, the one in my town, sent me a no thank you. I was devastated. Let's see.
So the first numbers are coming. Renata, thank you for your first number. So Renata, you said 15.
A little higher. A little higher, Renata. So I'm telling you more of the story before I say the number. So when the local TEDx event in my town say no, I was devastated because I thought for sure I was gonna get in. I had to drive 10 minutes. I was ready. I had my talk written. I knew it was good because it was after Valencia. And, in Valencia, I was like, I did great. I'm actually born for this day, right?
Yeah, agree.
And so they said no. And that was the number 89 rejection.
Yeah, also Carolina said 50.
Yeah, no, 89, dear. 89. And so right after that, I felt like my ego wanted to give up, but my soul wanted me to keep going.
But it's
Right?
really interesting because I tried only once to go in a TEDx in my local town, and they said no. But it's the difference, I tried only once.
Yeah.
You tried like 100 times.
There's a couple of things, it's like I actually now, like, people ask me like, how do you get in? Because I have two now. Yeah, 89, Renata, 89. No more, it's unbeatable. I'm determined, right? Like we can all be unbeatable. And what makes us unbeatable, invincible, is what we tell ourselves. And we're gonna talk about this tonight. But like I really wanted this. I really, really wanted. And so I meet a lot of people. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna apply to the one down the street, and I'm gonna get in. And I hope they do. I do know some speakers that get in the first time, and I have to say, not like that makes them less powerful of speakers, but it's usually because they know somebody in the organizing team. And it's not like it's colluding. So I'm not saying that. It's just the way it is, right? It's the power of connections. So I'm just going to say that.
It is, yeah, definitely. So what I found interesting, so you had like this 89 rejections, and then you got your first TEDx.
Yes.
Tell us about your first TEDx.
Then, literally like a week later, I got my yes. And it was at the other side of the world.
Exactly.
So I got a yes in Zimbabwe. I live in Alaska. It's 53 hours of travel. Now,
and I can remember,
love the travel.
I can remember you put in our chat, you put like you've got a sense of humor,
Yeah.
that's not funny or something like that.
Well, it's like I was in this state of mind where God, the universe, whatever you believe in, was probably not liking me because I was being sarcastic, really sarcastic. I'm like, your sense of humor, whoever is listening, is not funny. It's not, because I could have driven 10 minutes and now I have to fly 53 hours, which I actually got to appreciate by the conversations we had in the chat, that a lot of people would have not gone because of that. I am a world traveler. I've
Exactly.
been in every continent. So for me, that wasn't a deterrent, but it was the principle of the matter. It's like, why do I have to go to the other side of the world? By the way, I had to pay my own way to get there. I had to take a whole week to get there. I was jet lagged, about to give the most important talk of my life. My luggage got lost. I mean, like, how can it get any worse?
Yeah.
But it was all worth it. It was all worth it. I will do it again every week of the year.
But that's the point, right? Because again, so I had the chance to witness that. I had the chance to say, oh my God, I don't have my luggage. Oh my God, I'm going to go on the red carpet like in pajama again. And then I was like, oh my God, so she had to travel the world. Everything goes wrong, but she's committed, she just do it. And so many people would have said, no, thank you. I'm not going to invest the time, the money in order to go there because I could have had that in my own town. So what pushed you to go there? What pushed you to go to do the extra mile?
So people might think I'm crazy, or you might go with what I'm going to say. There's not going to be in the middle. You're either going to be like, oh yeah, I can see that, or you're going to think like I'm crazy. I felt if this was my last test, I really literally like almost felt like the universe telling me, it's like, so you really want this, right? So it was like a test. And I'm like, I do. This is what I want to do. I want to be a speaker. So I'm going. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And then I told myself all the crazy stories. Like, who knows? Maybe I'm going to meet, Prince Charming on the plane, or who knows when I'm going to meet. And you know what? I met amazing people. I met great people. Everyone who, because we were so far away, we were there for a week. I connected with amazing speakers, the organizers of that TEDx. I mean, the organizer of TEDx Borodale gave me a written recommendation. That doesn't happen. Like, I have a letter with a seal telling me, like, how amazing I was. It was great. But no, I didn't meet Prince Charming or anything.
Not yet.
No, you know what? It doesn't matter. But the point is that I saw that it was a challenge. The last obstacle, like the last, like, do you really want this? And then after that, everything has just fallen on my lap.
Exactly.
Literally,
It's the
literally,
impression.
and so to the point that the other night I went to bed thinking, oh, I should figure out how to submit articles to magazines for women empowerment because I got a presidential award. I didn't apply for that. It got in my lap. I spoke at the United Nations. Didn't apply for that. I am getting a doctorate degree in 2 weeks. Didn't apply for that. All because of my women empowerment work. So I'm like, oh, I should apply for magazines about writing an article for March. Well, I literally went to bed thinking that, and I woke up to an email from a magazine. It's like, we'd like you to be on the covers of the magazine. I was like, wow, like that's like manifesting 101 in real time.
Yeah.
But it is because I almost feel like I passed my test. Like, how bad do you want what you want? And at what point do you break yourself? And I feel, we were talking about this earlier, it's like, I feel so many people give up and quit at the brink of
That's the
success.
thing. That's the thing.
In
So
business, in careers, in relationships, in everything. It's like,
yeah.
what if you take one more step?
Yeah. And I think because I can remember I asked this question to one of my coach like maybe 5 years ago and say, well, but how do you know that you might be really at the age of the breakthrough? Because you know you work so long. So when you are an entrepreneur or like exactly what you did, Carmen, as well, it's like all what your journey, it happened like in a few months, right? So we can think, wow, my God, she's lucky. All that happened in a few months. However, you have been committed. You have had like these applications, and to do applications on TEDx, it's a lot of work as well. It's not just like sending an email. It's more than that. So 4 months or 3 months is a very long period of time when you don't know the outcome, when you put a lot of effort. And I asked once my coach, how do you know that you are like close to the breakthrough? And then she said that that's why it's really important to have a mentor, to have someone that I have done that before. And that's why I was so passionate about having this discussion today, because we all know that we have to work hard to be clear in the direction and to work in order to get what we want. However, what we don't know is what means hard, what means consistency. And that's why I really thank you for all that put numbers in the chat, because that shows that, I mean, 15 is already a big number when you get 15 rejections.
Yeah.
But it's far away from what you need in order to get where you want to go. And so that's why I believe that it's important to have this kind of talk. It's important to have mentors. It's important to be in connection with people that have done it already and then can push you to make the extra mile, to say, go for it.
Yeah. And you know what? For me, rejection was a big thing. Like it was really hitting my core wounds. And so you need to be in touch with that, because not everybody is faced by rejection the same way.
Yeah.
For me, rejection is like a big thing. And now it's just like, I'm like, oh my God, give me 9 no's so I can get the yes. Like it really shift my perspective. But I also had like other examples. So this is what I'm sharing this to hopefully give you like a framework of what's out there. Like what does success look like? Because I remember reading Jack Canfield and Mark Twain, who published Chicken Soup for the Soul, 103 rejections.
Right.
Before a publisher said yes to them. I mean, now I'm just like kicking here. It's like, do you know, like all these people who say no to them, like they're just probably like spinning in a circle, like what they could have had, but they didn't see it, right? But it's the same way, right? And I feel like it's the same way for me. I recently got an invitation to speak at another TEDx. So I have two already. I have one in English, one in Spanish. And that's at the moment all I need, because my business is not to coach people to go into TEDx, right? So I don't need more. I already proved my point. I can do it in 2 languages. But I got an invitation from someone who rejected me last year. And I said, I really want to say, like, you lost your chance, but I didn't, obviously, right? I said, maybe later. I don't have another idea. It takes a lot of time to be able to stand there and deliver the most powerful talk that you can possibly give in 10 minutes.
Oh, that
Takes a lot of time.
Yeah, that would be another question I would have. In order to prepare this like 10 minutes speech, how much work do you put into it?
Well, so it's not a perfectionism thing, because I don't believe in perfection, but I believe in giving the best of me in everything I do. That's who I am. That's at the core of Carmen. So I know I can knock it out of the park. I know I can memorize it. And I know I can deliver impactful, and have all the intonations and all the stuff that you will see if you watch my TEDx. Yeah, it takes a lot of time. I practice. That was my full-time
Yes,
job.
exactly.
Practice,
Exactly. I
right?
can remember you practicing.
I have the red dot. I wore the shoes that I was going to wear. different for each of them. And I will practice 3 times a day, to the point where, you know, it's like my kids, my family, whoever was around was like, how many times are you going to practice? I practice in parks. I practice in airports. I practice walking down the street. I practice all the time. Because especially because I went from not real public speaking experience, other than work, you know, at my company, to delivering these talks to, like, you know, total strangers. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be faced by the audience, right? And so I did. Like when I did the one in Delaware, we were in New York before that, and my brother was like, "Are you crazy?" Because I literally stood at a bar in a bar, and I start delivering the talk. I'm like, you know, I clap my hand, I grab a glass, and I was like, "Okay, you guys want to hear my TEDx?" Like I
That's
started.
so cool. I love it.
I probably had a drink or two, so my inhibitions were a little, you know, lower. But I did, and he was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe she's doing that." But it was what I needed. You know, you do what you need to practice. But you know, I everywhere, like the one in Valencia, I actually too. I practiced. I was in Egypt before Valencia.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Practiced on the beach. I practiced in the airplane. I practiced everywhere. It depends on what your standards are. And again, for me, anything I do, I want to bring the best of me to it.
So we have like Claire said or wrote in the in the chat, we often assume that we were good enough, we would not get this kind of rejections. And I think that's like, it's really interesting point. And I think that's the case even more for women, that we believe that if I am good enough and I prove it already and so on, I'm not going to have any kind of rejections. Or if I have rejection, so that means that I am not good enough.
I was going to say, for me, it was so hard because I already had those doubts, right? So you implied earlier about the application is more than an email. Sometimes you have to do a video
Yes.
to share your idea, right? So for me, every rejection was the confirmation that I wasn't good enough. It was almost a confirmation of what I already knew. And so what I haven't said yet is, along submitting these applications, and of course I got better, as you know, my 20th application was better than my first one, and my, you know, 50th was better than the 20th. But I also, along that, I was working with a coach on my mindset, you know, what I believe about myself. And in my particular case, and she's still my coach today, she's a Latina, like me. She has an accent like me, and she's a 7-time TEDx speaker. So I remember the first time I watched her talk, and I was like, my jaw was down, right? Because it was masterful. It was so good, not just her presence, but like this whole story was so masterful that I'm like, oh my God. But I can hear, and you know what? It was even better because she actually said words in Spanish because she didn't care. She's like, this is who I am, and you're gonna like it or not.
Yeah, I like that.
And so I worked, you know, it took me 6 months or so to get over my mindset, my limiting beliefs, and said, you know what? I am good enough. How many more accolades do you want, Carmen? That's what I keep telling myself. What else do you want? You're an engineer, you have an MBA, you were the first Latina vice president in Alaska, you had a corner office. What else do you want? What is going to make you qualified to do this?
Yeah, it's exactly the same question I say myself. So you have so many successful stories in your coaching.
Yeah.
Why do you what do you want?
Yeah.
What would be then the last thing that would let you believe that you are good? But exactly the same question that I ask myself.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I'm being 100% transparent because I think a lot of women have this issue of second guessing ourselves. And I think it's time that we stop that. Like, we
Yeah.
are good enough. And we all don't have the same gifts, and we don't have to have the same gifts.
Yeah.
So my last talk, it was last Friday, and it was with the National Guard, so military.
Yeah.
First time, was so excited. That crowd was tough. Like it took me a little bit to warm them up, but it got to the point they were laughing at my jokes, and I have their own taste, which is great. But there was a point where someone came to me and say, oh my God, it was so great. And I'm a hugger because I'm a Latina. That's who I am, right? So you imagine these men in military outfit, and I'm like hugging them, right? Like,
And by the way, you can go on the profile of Carmen because she put a picture with this audience.
and so, but this is who I am.
Yeah.
And this is Carmen, real FaceTime, like what you see is what you get, and that's it, right? And I told them when I started, because I got the after lunch spot, and at first I was like, oh my God, right? Like nobody wants that. And the organizer was like, oh, I gave it to you on purpose because I know you're gonna keep them on their toes, because I can see in your videos you're a firecracker. I was like, okay, great, more expectations, exactly what I need to. So I go there, and the first thing I tell them is, if you guys fall asleep on me, I have the DJ ready with a salsa. I'm gonna go get you, and you're gonna have to dance with me on the stage as a punishment. So I did. And so it's funny because some of them were like, oh, I love to dance. It's like, okay, well, let's get out of it. Let's do it. But nobody fell asleep. So that was good.
But that's the point. So you said that you get what you see, or I am who I am. So this authenticity. And indeed, it's very interesting because when people choose you, it's because they have as well their own plan, right? They know their own audience, and then they decided, okay, you are the good fit for the audience they have. So at that moment, you have to be even more authentic that you think, because it's part of the game of the plane. So
And I love that you're saying that, because when I got the gig, I was worried for a second because I could be a lot. I could be a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be talking to these military people. And I asked like percentage of men and women. So it was 90% men,
yeah,
10%. That's what they told me. I think it was like 93 to 7%. But there was very few women. Regardless of that, the women, when they're in uniform, they have to be very reserved. Their hair is tied, no makeup, maybe just a little mascara. And, I mean, this is me at 11 o'clock at night, right? And at first I'm like, oh my God, what I'm gonna wear, right? Like,
yeah.
And so I talked to a friend of mine that's another thing. And this is actually a very important point. This is what I love you, Christelle. Women need to support each other. I mean, there's never been cattiness, competition. I mean, we were sharing the same apartment in Valencia. It was always like support, support, support. Ladies, you guys have to support each other. There's no competition. There's room for everybody's gift. We all have space, right? And so I called a friend of mine who is a retired military, and I was like, what do I wear? And she said, you know what? I think if they hire you is because they want your perspective. So what if you walk your talk and you are yourself? And I'm like, is it gonna be too much? It's like, and what if it is,
And what if it is? That's a good question.
Yeah, and so I did. And then even, listen, this is important because, I'm like full of confidence, mostly. And I go there and I still had to ask the question to the lady who hired me. It's like, oh my God, I was trying to figure out what to wear. I hope it's not enough. She's like, no, we want you to be you.
Yeah.
So
It's so powerful, so important, because I just got hired to for a talk as well, so it's going to be in February. I have time, however, and that's really like my like a company that I know of my engineer time and so on. And they hired me because they have seen me, exactly what you said. So, but at the same time, I had in my mind, oh my God, what I'm going to say, I'm going to go there with my French accent, and so on. So always the same self-talk that I have to fight, the same way that you fight it, like, yes, but you proved your point. You have done so many speech before. They don't hire you because of your English knowledge. They are not even English native speaker anyway. So, but you know, so you have always this like this negative self-talk, and then when you are aware about it, so you can counterpart with a positive self-talk, so you can do that the work by yourself as well. But as you say, then when you have the right environment around you, you can get support as well from your environment. So going and asking a friend that know you, that know your talk and so on, or going and asking a friend that is in the company or is in this field, and then and asking and saying, and then you get the right advices as well, and then you just go for the challenge, and then after the challenge you feel stronger. And what I wanted to ask as well, it's like this strong mindset, like this unbeatable mindset, like Renata said, because I mean, you say that you have your coaching, you had like this TEDx that is on the other part of the world, you have to pay for that, but you have like a life, right? You have other aspects of your life, and so many people think, yeah, but for her it was easy because of her husband, because I don't know. So there is so many
Well, to
reasons.
begin with, this lady's single. I've been divorced more times than I want to admit in this show, this life. And what I'm gonna say about 2024 is that it has been the best year of my life and the worst year of my life,
Yeah.
all at once, all at the same time. It's like, I don't understand. Like, this is the definition of bipolar. I mean, seriously, and I'm not trying to dismiss or insult anyone that might have that. But there's things that I cannot share because they're too personal and they're too fresh right now. But I've had so much personal chaos happening at the same time that it's been the most successful year of my life. And I could have chosen to give up. And instead, I chose to lean in. I chose to do what makes me happy, what I'm passionate about. And because of that, it keeps coming my way. I mean, like, the way that some of these things have shown up in my life is like, oh my God, like this is like a soap opera. Like, how? And so now I'm like in this like receiving mode, like, okay, well, the right thing is gonna come, the right time, and they just keep showing up. It's great.
Yeah.
It's
It's
great.
kind of let's go, right? It's kind of it's like as you say, it's a little bit of two different direction, like being very focused and doing what you believe it's what you need to do, and at the same time it's this like let go, and it will happen what will happen, and anyway I cannot control everything, and it's going to be maybe tough and so on, but if I could let go, I will go through it, and
Yeah.
then it's going to be maybe a little more quiet, or at least I grow and I learn and I am closer to what I believe I should do in this earth. So that's the feeling that I have. What I share with my clients, because my clients
There's a question from Claire. Can you elaborate on the leading in? And if it's okay, can I? So
yeah.
thank you for the question, Claire. So and I was going to say, and I think this will set this up, is that by no means it's been easy. At no point. There's been many days I have been in the corner of a room crying, like life is over. So in this year, I got divorced for the X time. I had to sell my house to be able to pay him off. My son had some problems that I'm still dealing with, and that's probably going to be a long time. And I felt guilty through all this because I feel like I was, not betraying, but like failing my kids with everything that was happening in my personal life. So with going through all those hard times, I could have, stand back and disassociate, which for me has been my defense mechanism since growing up. The reason I became so strong, independent, blah, 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 is because life was too painful. So I decided when I was very young that I didn't need anybody. And then that totally cost me a lot, right? Because that's not the healthy way to do anything, right? And so as I have mature with my grace and grow and work on myself, I have learned to honor my emotions and process them and name them and validate them, right? Like one of the things that I'm so against this phase of my life is toxic positivity, right? Because you know what? Today, this is not the case for today, but like sometimes, like today, I just want to feel crappy. And I don't need anybody to tell me it's going to be okay, because I know it's going to be okay. But like today, I just want to feel crappy.
I agree.
And let me be, right? Like, let me cry. Let me not have to put makeup. Let me cancel all the appointments if I have to, right? But then I decided that I needed to open the wound and go in, because the reason it was painful is because there were things that maybe I haven't healed. And then honor what my soul knows. And maybe I'm getting esoteric and woo here, but like, this is not like a yesterday call. I didn't decide yesterday I wanted to be a speaker. I always wanted to be a speaker. If I see the way I used to play when I was little, the way I studied was I was pretending to explain to like a Taylor Swift size stadium physics, right? Like I would have like a chalkboard and I would explain physics to them. That's how I studied. So I always knew I wanted to be a speaker, right? I just didn't know how to articulate it. So then I decided to go into that thing, as scary as it was. And you know what? It was scary because
you decided to go and to fully go there.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like this is my new mantra. If it doesn't feel scary, it's not worth my time.
I like that.
Right? Because the reason it feels scary is because it's vulnerable. The reason it feels, at least with me and my personality, if it doesn't feel scary, is because I'm not vested. Because I can care less if I win or I lose. If it feels scary, it's because I really care about this. And if I really care about this, I really should lean in. Do you think that a speaker ever loses the butterfly feeling before talking?
No, shouldn't be. Yeah.
Sure. If you do, you are doing something wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Or maybe for you to like up your game, right? Like maybe you're talking too small and you need to look for bigger stages or.
Exactly. Andrea asked, you are so strong, so where is your energy coming from?
I don't know that I'm really strong. I would call myself determined more than strong. As I said, if you have a peek to my life this year, there have been more times than ever before where I have felt defeated. This year, 2024, defeated. But I have, for the first time in my life, allowed myself to feel defeated for a little bit. I think that's the thing.
And
I
you
allow
accept it.
myself to feel sad, depressed, frustrated, angry, whatever the emotion is.
Yeah.
A little bit. And then I ask myself, what is the next step? One step at a time. There's the analogy of, the climb to Everest is conquer one step at a time. You don't know what, a mile from here is going to look like. And that's what my brain used to do to me. It's like, if I don't know what exactly the roadmap to like success looks like, I'm not going to do it. And now it's like, no, what is the next step? Can I take the step? Yes, I can.
Yeah. I love so many parts that you say, in something that I could see in my life. Like for me, it was a little bit as well. Like I'm determined too, but so I never wanted to feel like this depressed mode or to stop and to feel like depressed. And like whatever happened, I continue. However, when you always push, even if you sometimes maybe need to calm down, so it's not healthy. And what I have seen is that at that moment, I decided to say, you know what, there is some days I'm not going to do anything. And if I feel kind of depressed, I'm going to accept that and to lean in as well, like to be depressed during one day. So it happens sometimes that the Saturdays, I tell my family, I do nothing. I am not there. And then I do nothing, really. And sometimes I'm thinking I was going to take all day long in order to get my energy. But just because I accept that I need maybe 2 hours, and then I'm like, I'm going to do that. But because the energy came back, and I learned that now it's so important to listen to me, because if I accept to take some break, to feel sad, unhappy, down, if I accept that and I take care of that, then I can come back quicker, which is great.
Yeah.
It served me. So that's why I learned to do that. And I think there is that so many people don't understand that when you are focused and determined, it's not that you have to be strong all the time, but it's more like understanding how you feel, what you need in order to rest, to be healthy with your mind, with your thoughts, with your body, and then you can step up even stronger.
Yeah. So your audience probably doesn't know this about me, but I had a burnout episode before I left my corporate career, where I almost died. I mean, it's as tragic as it could get. I know most people don't almost die of burnout, but I almost did. I had bleeding ulcers in my stomach. And I let it go for too long because I was too busy to take care of myself. However, with that, again, I believe that everything happens for me. And so how can I use that to help people is my whole mindset now. And so I've learned that one thing I can help people with is understanding that it's the unresolved emotions and stress that cause us to fall apart in all areas of our lives. And so I've done a lot of research because I am a nerd. I mean, most engineers are. I can put my glasses on. I just like to look pretty, but I do look. And there's a lot of science behind it. And I wanted to share the statistics with your audience. And is that if you let an emotion, any emotion, the darkest emotion that you can feel, which is probably guilt or depression, run through your body without trying to suppress it, it takes 90 seconds, 90 seconds to go through, and then it's gone. But it's when you pretend that it's not happening and want to repress it, then what happens? It gets stored in your muscles, in your joints. And that's what's like, oh, my hip hurts, my shoulder hurts, my back hurts. Well, every time your body hurts is because there's like this alarm going on. It's like, stop doing what you're doing.
Listen. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because and that, so what I because I see time, we have 10 o'clock here. So what I share with my clients is that they have, in order to get where they want to go, their dreams must be bigger than their dramas. And with dramas, what I mean is like the distractions that we can have, distraction of our mind, distraction of what's going on in our life. That's the setbacks that we can have. That's the misfortune that sometimes come in our life. That's the disagreements, so people that don't really agree with what we want to achieve, and they just, you know, like they stop us. All that must be smaller. The regret that we would have if we don't go there, all that must be smaller than the big dream that we have. And the dream is like really like knowing our values, knowing our like zone of genius, going for it, and having the right support as well. So that should be present. And at the same time, when we know that, when we have like this big dream and say, okay, what's stopping me is my dramas, how can I find a way in order to step by step continuing to fight for my dreams? And at the same time is being even more self-caring for ourselves, because we know that when we have this self-care, then we can be even more focused on our dream, and we have less than this kind of distractions. So I think what is really difficult to have is the right balance.
Well, it's a trial and error. You know, like some people says like, oh, balance don't exist. I believe I have found balance, and it doesn't need to look perfect. And does that mean that you have balance every day? No, but do you have balance
Exactly.
in your life, right?
Yeah.
But it's really to, as you say, start tuning into. I mean, like 3 years ago, oh my God, like I look back, it's like, who is that woman? Like, self-care? What is that? Like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And now I'm like, I really honor my body. I really honor my emotions. You know what? If I don't feel doing something, I just don't. And it's so liberating.
I agree.
You know
I
what?
agree.
And I know people are gonna be like, oh my God, you're so lucky. Like, I can't believe, like, again, ladies, I don't have a husband. No, I made this happen. And it wasn't easy, but I am so glad I'm here.
Yeah, I
It's
understand that.
worth it.
Yeah. So we have Claire saying that this conversation made her day. Petra, she reached office, she has to leave. Petra, I'm going to give you the recording. You can find it anyway on LinkedIn anytime. But I'm going to store that as well on my YouTube channel, so I can give the recording of this session and the last session. And maybe we will do another one if we feel
I
that.
know. It's like we can talk forever.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what? I would love to come to Germany. Maybe we do one in person.
Yes, that would be so cool. I'm really close to the airport, so I pick up, and then I have big house, so you are more than welcome, alone or with your kiddies. If you have any questions, so Renata, you have question. Do you think we can have it all, success in professional life and also a happy personal life? I know we can have it all. This will be great balance, which all of us want to have, right? Yes. So I definitely have it. So I love my life, my family, and my professional life.
It's a
What about you,
definition,
Carmen?
right? It's like expectations.
Yeah.
And definition. And when we look at, magazines and movies, it's like, oh, that's what balance look like. Maybe that's not realistic, but like, if you can sit down with yourself and look at your core values, what is important to you? What are the non-negotiables? And I'm sure Christine, sorry, why do I keep calling you Christine? Christelle. I'm sure Christelle, as in her coaching, she can guide you through what that balance look like, right? Because you want to be able to have someone who can model it for you.
Yeah, and I agree. It's all about, so the balance is really depending of what is important to you. So it's not something that you can copy from someone else. You cannot take my own balance and think, oh, it's I'm going to do the same. So it might be different for you in order to find the balance. So I am in contact with people, so traveling all the time and so on. And it, for me, it's like, it's not what I would like to have right now. I traveled a lot in the past. I don't want that anymore right now. I'm not saying that in 5 years, when my boys are big and so on, older, then I would not like to travel again. But the balance changed during the time life where you are at right now, what you want to achieve, what is important to you, and so on. There are different kind of parameters. But that's why it's important to do like this kind of introspection. It's exactly what you said, Carmen. So like, what a point that is important as well, said like, you knew already you always wanted to be a speaker. However, you have done so many different things, and then you come with almost like 50 to this point. In my case, it's kind of the same. I always knew I wanted to be a coach, because I can remember with 6 or 12, it wasn't really something that was popular in Europe, but I took that from US. And I can remember that I looked at people on stage and I was like, oh, that's so cool, I want to do that. I became an engineer. But then I came back to that. What we both did is that we took time in order to realign, recalibrate what we wanted, and then go for it. I think it's one person told me last time, yet, but it's so difficult when we are busy with life and so on, to just stop a bit and then go for what we feel is the right mission for us.
Well, it starts with a vision, right? It starts with a vision, and a vision really doesn't take time. You just gotta have, for me, the hardest thing, and I'm completely honest here, like with everything else I've been, it was the clarity. And the reason I wasn't clear is because I was scared of what I really wanted.
Yeah,
When I got over my fear, then it became so clear. So then when you become clear, you can just, it could be the last thing you think at night. You know, it's like, oh my God, my goals for next year, just watch it. It's like, I'm like, yep, I go to bed thinking about that. And it's like, yeah, it's so natural. It's going to happen. Of course it's going to happen. Right?
yeah, because you have the recipe. Okay, I think we need to go. Thea, I don't know how to say that. Theophanu? I don't know how to pronounce it. Talking about drama, I deal with drama by integrating it in my daily life. Yes, I think it's the best way, integrating it and doing the steps we can do with our dramas. I think it's the best step to do. So believe we need to close this call, because we can stay all night or all day.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe in the chat, if you want, maybe you can put your takeaway of this discussion, just for us to know. If you want to share as well, if you want us to go through another topic, let us know. I'm sure we can organize something like that. And
Yes. I love talking to you. Always.
me too. Carmen, if you want to wrap up this discussion, what come in one sentence, what would come to your mind? What would be the main message or sentence you would like to share?
Thank you. I would say the secret, and I just making this up as I'm speaking here, the secret to be unbeatable, the secret to be successful is to be authentic to yourself, to really value and honor what you want, and to work on what makes you afraid.
Okay, I would, yeah, I have nothing else to say. Do you do another talk? Where can we find you next? Do you have something public we can go for, or maybe something in US for the people listening to us that are in US right now?
Well, you can always check out my LinkedIn. So at I am Carmen Paredes, and then I am going to start season 2 of my podcast on January 1st, because the first episode is going to be mindset. So we got to start the year right. So that would be the best thing. And then, you know, any new speaking engagements I have, I'll publish there. Yeah. So I would love, for your audience to come hang out with me in LinkedIn too.
Yes, for sure. So we can do that. Thank you. I wish you a good night. And then thank you for all of you that could make up today. And if you have any questions in the replay, put your questions in the chat and we will see it and we will be able to answer
And
the
I'll be happy
questions.
to go back and answer any questions too. So yes.
Yeah. And now I am a little bit more professional because last time I had no clue how to stop a LinkedIn live, but now I know I can see it and stream. So we are going to be professional, at least for the end, and say a good day to everyone. We close this stream live and we see each other online. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.